It's my pleasure to have with us today Brother David Barton. Brother David is a member of the congregation here at Gatlinburg, and as we've watched him this morning, he's been running around here actively getting things fixed up, and they're in their temporary meeting place until they're able to rebuild their building. And Brother David, it's good to have you with us today.
Thank
and
you.
You told me you've been here with the Gatlinburg congregation about 10 or 11 years.
Yes.
And you've probably seen a lot of changes just in that short time.
Absolutely.
Have you ever been in any, you told us that you had served as an elder in several different locations. Yeah. You're formerly retired from the newspaper business.
That's correct.
Had you ever been through any kind of a situation like this as a member of the church?
The closest thing would be in Myrtle Beach, where Rita and I attended for about 10 years. We went through Hurricane Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
And out of that situation, there was good that came. We touched families that we couldn't have touched any other way. We used the disaster relief funds out of Nashville, and they were a blessing to us.
Oh, absolutely.
The work that we met people in that event that became an integral part of the congregation.
Sure.
One of the families, he's now an elder in the church at Myrtle Beach. And we met him during disaster relief at Hurricane Floyd in Myrtle Beach.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. And you know, whether we realize it or not, the community's watching. Yes. And they're not intently just singling us out, but they see what we do.
Yes.
They see what we do for the community.
Yes.
They see how we care for one another. Yeah. And they're impressed by that. Yes. And you know, a lot of times I've seen in Moore, Oklahoma and other locations, a lot of times when other people go back home who have done good works in the way of disaster relief, when they go back home, typically our brethren are still there. Yeah. And I'm sure that'll be the case with you all. Tell us, if you would, as much as you can, tell us about the night of the fires and you and your family personally.
We were safe in our location. We had been told that we might have to evacuate. We slept in our clothes that night. We had bags packed. We loaded one of the vehicles, and we were ready to go. What's interesting as I look back, one of the clocks at the church building stopped at 10 minutes after 10 on Monday night. At 10 minutes after 10, I was in my parking lot looking toward downtown, and the red glow in the sky was the church building burning.
Yeah. I understand, and having been through a fire loss with a congregation, people don't realize. And you know, one of the things that I find in the work that I do in a couple different areas of our older folks, that maybe because of health reasons they get to a point that they're no longer able to be with us and assemble with us. Yeah. We don't understand that. Yeah. And we don't understand how important our buildings are to us. Yes. Because it's where we come for our fellowship. It's where we come to support one another. And what was, if you could talk a little bit about the congregation here and when you all first had an understanding that you'd lost the church building.
The first pictures that surfaced came from the Knoxville News Sentinel, the newspaper in Knoxville. It was hard to look at those pictures.
Oh, I'm sure.
And when we first had access, and I praise the city for the good job that they did in protecting the community. You had to go through checkpoints to get in, and we were allowed in pretty quickly. And to walk up to what was that church building, and to see nothing but ashes was hard. Yeah. It was heartbreaking. And most of us, as we saw it for the first time, there were tears in our eyes.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
It was not an easy task to understand that the building was gone. Yeah. I don't know how God's providence works, but I just know it works.
Absolutely.
And we will be stronger because of it.
Absolutely, you will, because of that determination.
Yeah.
And you know, part of living daily life is learning to take the difficult things in life and make them make them positive things. And that's hard sometimes when you're hurting, and sometimes you go about doing the physical work with tears running down your face. But it's the love of the work, the love of the Lord's kingdom, and that gives us the strength to keep going. Tell me a little bit, if you would, tell me a little bit about yesterday as you all came back together here in this temporary location. What was the mood? What was the feeling of the members? And I understand the visitors, I'm sure they were very supportive too, but just of the members here, tell me a little bit about the mood and the feelings.
It was a bittersweet kind of situation. Saddened that we were out of our church building, but this facility is excellent for us for the next year. We will survive.
Absolutely.
We were fortunate to get this building. There were 3 religious organizations that lost their place of worship, and they're looking for places as well.
Right.
This was set up in a worship arrangement. There was a Hispanic church that met here before us. The building had been vacant for about a year. And we contacted them on Monday. We got in on Tuesday. They did a remarkable job of fixing this building so that it was useful for worship services this past Sunday. On Monday morning, you couldn't hardly breathe in here.
Really?
And it's nice now.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. It really is wonderful. And all of this speaks to the resiliency of the members here and the Lord's cause.
Amen.
And what we do to the Lord's glory and to His name, and His name is elevated in this community because of you all and the work that you do with the church here.
That's been our prayer. I think from the moment the fire, we realized that the building was gone, was that we would be able to rise above this.
Absolutely.
And to show to this community that the Lord's church is alive and well here.
Absolutely. And as you and I, as we talked a little bit ago, and you said to me, it's not about me. And that's true for all of us. It's not about us.
No.
It's about the Lord's cause.
Amen.
And His kingdom. And you're to be, we hesitate to give and accept praise for us on a human level, but we need those pats on the back and that encouragement to keep up the good work. And we're proud of what you're doing here and the congregation is doing, and we want to support you in every way that we can and encourage you in that. And God bless you. Let me correct one thing you said. This building wasn't fortunate. It was a blessing.
Yes, it was.
And how God works and how He does, I don't pretend to understand, but I absolutely believe in His care and providence. I do. And I thank you for giving us your time, and we keep you all in our prayers and in our encouragement, and keep up the good work.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, glad to. Glad to. Thank you, Dave. I'd like to introduce you to Sister Brenda Rutherford, Brother Rod Rutherford's wife. Brother Rod preaches here for the Gatlinburg congregation. And I've asked Brenda to talk to us about just her perspective as not just as the preacher's wife, but her perspective as a woman in the congregation. You know, sometimes we forget how valuable our Christian ladies are and our sisters, the strength they give to the church, the support they give to we men to help us to continue to do the Lord's work. But they are, in my estimation, in most places, the ladies are the backbone of the church. And we maybe don't acknowledge that often enough. So Brenda, thank you for being with us. And first tell me a little bit from your perspective as a preacher's wife. We've interviewed Brother Rod, and what's this like for the preacher's wife?
Well, I feel like Rod and I both are greatly, greatly blessed to be able to work with the Gatlinburg congregation. This is an unusual congregation.
It is.
They're a congregation of love and hard work, and we all work together. We all love each other, which I think is a key in getting everything back together.
Oh, absolutely.
I think from a woman's standpoint, women love to teach the classes, and we love the children. And our greatest loss was the things that we had made for our classrooms and the things we put up on the wall, our bulletin boards and all that. But we know we can replace all that.
Sure.
But still there's a sentiment to that. And like one Sunday we were in teaching our children, and the next day it was all gone.
Right.
And I wanted to go back and see the church building.
Yeah.
And the basement is actually still there. And so I walked to the basement. Someone gave me a lantern, and you could see in the basement, like we had metal boards, and there was David, who had just been taught on Sunday, still on the metal board. And all of our things were still in place, even though they were ruined from rain and ash and so forth.
Sure.
They were ruined, and yet they were all still there from our teaching on Sunday. Amazing.
How have, and you know, I think, again, this temporary meeting place, and I think most folks will understand what I mean, but can you imagine what any of our places of worship would be if it were just up to us guys? I mean, it would probably be a log bench, and that'd be about it. But the ladies are such a vital part of our lives and our congregations. Tell me a little bit about, yesterday was your first time to be back together as a congregation. Tell me a bit, again, about just the ladies and their emotions and how things were for them on yesterday.
Oh, the men permitted us to meet separately and put our things together, our thoughts together, which I thank the men for that. That was wonderful. But the women, most of us are teachers. And so Rita and Shirley and Judy and Connie, we all were together. And we could remember what was in our rooms and what we needed. But we all pulled together as one. And we wrote down all of our inventory. We wrote down the things we were going to need. And we got that all done, and we're all organized, and we're ready to go out and get it.
Good for you.
But I want to say this, too, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
The first Wednesday night that the Sevierville congregation opened up their building to us was wonderful. They were welcoming and warm. And when we saw each other for the first time, we hugged and just glad to be back together.
Cool.
It's great.
You're working on me, Brenda. And that, you know, sadly, maybe we don't express those emotions and our love for one. We say it, and we all, I guess, know it's there, but when it really takes action, it really is very touching and
yes, it is.
Very heartwarming. And proud of what you and Rod have, as you've given in your lives and preaching all over the world. And we're just thankful that you all are here with the folks here in Gatlinburg.
Well, thank you. But to God goes all the glory.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And but you know, He's taught us and given His love and His strength to be able to do these difficult things. And we can make lemonade out of lemons.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Brenda, and appreciate your time, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Woody is from the little town of Morrison in Middle Tennessee in Warren County, where I now have been preaching there for now 8 years. We know the same people of his people he went to school with, and they're in Morrison, and he's telling me little secrets about them that I can use to haunt them when we get back home. But Woody has been here in the part of the Gatlinburg congregation for 8 years. Yep. And he has been working around here, he hadn't stopped until we got him to sit down and talk. And he is a valuable part of this congregation. And he's been telling us about some of the things that the people that they've been able to help. And we just encourage you, David, to keep up the great work. And as you've said, we do what we do in the name of the Lord, and it's a great blessing to be able to do His bidding.
It really is, and I tell everybody, when you're with a group of Christians working, you have no greater comfort.
Absolutely.
And no greater relationship than with a group of Christians.
Absolutely.
Me and Dave, we done a lot of work up the church building. A lot of work.
Yeah.
We knew probably every crack and crevice in it. If people would have had a camera, they would have probably put us on that, whatever it is on TV.
The blooper program?
Yeah, because two old men trying to climb 8 foot and put a wall up, it was hilarious. And we work at old men's pace, and that's an hour on and 20 minutes off. And but it's a wonderful thing to do, and I hope the non-Christians watching this will become members of the Lord's church and see the enjoyment you get
Absolutely.
with working with all these people. I mean, they'll always give you a hug and say, hey, if you can't use your car, I'll use mine.
Yeah.
And that's the way the Christian family works. And we're just so grateful here at Gatlinburg.
Well, I know they're thankful for you, and not just the work you've done, but just your spirit in this congregation. And I know they value you and that bond that we share. You know that we can go anywhere in the world nearly and find our brethren, and I'd never met you until today. And
Absolutely.
Here we have an automatic bond.
Automatic bond.
And it's just a wonderful thing to be in the Lord's kingdom.
It is. It is.
The things we don't know what we do from day to day, whether in a disaster situation or in our regular, normal, everyday lives. We don't know who we may touch.
And like I say, I tell everybody, you just have to been a member of the Gatlinburg congregation the last 8 years to see how special it was. We'd have visitors, and they'd outnumber us every week.
Yeah.
Every week they'd outnumber us. And you meet so many beautiful people you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah.
And Canada, Australia, we've even had some from Japan, and
Isn't it a joy?
It is.
Man,
it is.
When we lived here, we worshipped in Sevierville, and back in the old building in Sevierville, we were busting at the seams.
Yeah.
And same thing. We got to meet a lot of great people.
And you just had to been a member up here, and they was just a blessing. They'd always come in. Now we're praying for y'all. Y'all keep up the good work.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know how much work the little congregation done.
Yeah.
And I was so thankful for David Barton. David Barton made a talk at the Polishing Pulpit, about an hour long, on what a little small congregation can do and accomplish.
That's great.
And he even got people to ask him to come to a place in West Virginia. And he went there, he talked with them, and they kept him a while, wanting him to explain stuff. And I tell everybody that's in a little congregation, I don't care if you pass out 2 Bibles a week. If you're not working for the Lord, then you're dying.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
You're
you're going one way or the other.
In one way or the other. And if you're a small congregation, I'll tell you, if you got 20 members, hey, go get you a Bible and say, here's your Bible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is it a huge amount? No, but you're still working for the Lord.
But it may be to somebody.
It may be to somebody.
Absolutely.
That Bible, and we've got a unique situation here in Gatlinburg. A lot of people don't know it. The law restricts us from going house to house.
Right.
And we racked our mind. Thank God for Mark Teskey.
Yeah.
You know, and we racked our mind on what we could do. First, we started with TV.
Right.
Okay. We got on local. Well, we got Mark. Hey, this is what we can do here. Okay. And I know we worried Mark Teskey. I mean,
that's okay.
We worried that gentleman. I mean, he would either talk on the, and I'm not talking about a 5-minute phone call. I'm talking about, and a lot of people don't know this about GBN, but they've been so wonderful to us. The radio station, I got tickled at me and David Barton, and I love that man a lot, okay? The radio station, we started taking it apart, and it had some rings with it. And me and David Barton was looking at it, and what in the world are these rings for? I said, well, David, they might go under this for, and come to find out, it was to help. You put them on the main line to it some way to keep it stabilized, but we had them round rings going everywhere. But I got to say, we love GBN, and a lot of people don't know, during this disaster, we have not stopped not one support that we're doing.
Good for you.
We've got people that cleans the building. Well, one lady, she's a single lady, and she needs
the money.
She needs the help.
Needs it, yeah.
We hadn't stopped. Landscaping, he's a member of the church. We hadn't stopped.
Good for you.
We had a sad story this morning, and the particular lady, we ended up crying.
Yeah.
We've shedded a lot of tears here at Gatlinburg, and we had helped them Sunday, and we went over to eat at the Little House of Pancakes over here. We went over to eat, and she started telling me and David Barton a very, very sad story. Young lady, single lady, 2 children, lost her car, house. We immediately wrote this little lady a check and said, we hope this will help you.
Oh, wow.
And she done some crying, of course.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens, me and David Barton both we can't help it.
I understand.
And we just can't help it. But as far as Lord's people, it makes you feel good to help somebody
Absolutely.
like that.
I was just going to say, isn't it a wonderful feeling to be able to lift a load off of some folks?
And we've had so much out. People don't know what kind of phone calls.
It's okay.
We had visitors come in and honestly go downstairs to these classrooms, and they would take pictures. Oh, where did you get this beautiful poster? And the ladies, I was just amazed at. And most of the ladies there, Woody, have you took your medicine? And this is how we depend on our ladies. I mean,
Yeah.
A lot of men might not, but most of them I've seen as you know, have you done this? Have you done that? And sometimes we'll remember, but our ladies is so precious up there. They're so hardworking, and I don't see, we're going to have, and I'm sure Marson does it, we're going to have a meal this Sunday.
Yeah.
Good. I'll be there. And that's what the meal, and a lot of times we forget about our beautiful, beautiful ladies.
You're right. You're exactly
And
right.
we shouldn't. And this is in every congregation. I hope the congregations everywhere in the world make sure they give their women, and tell them you love them.
Absolutely. You're right.
You know, it don't hurt to look at your wife and say, I love you, honey. Thank you for the meal, honey.
Yeah.
But remember our ladies at Viola, because they're precious to us, all of them are, and they all do great work. And I tell everybody, that's just a building. The congregation is not dead.
That's right.
Amen.
Absolutely. The congregation didn't burn, did
Nope.
it? Absolutely.
No, sir.
Absolutely. Woody, thank you for what you do for the Lord and for the Gatlinburg Church, and thank you for giving us your time and being willing to just open up a little bit. And we appreciate you and love you for the work you do. And it's a pleasure for me to get to know you today.
Thank you.
And the juice you've told me on some of the Morrison folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.